Well, it's Talk Birdie, Timmy. We love a bonus podcast. And here's another one. Massive thanks to our mates at the Golf Clearance Outlet who beat everyone's prices, and Ping, who, like they've done for Nick O'Hearn, they'll help you play your best. And the Watch My Numbers app. Play smarter and use your data. Now, a bonus episode of Talk Birdie to me. Here's Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
I love these, Nick. A bonus feedback pod. It's when our listener can send through some notes, their thoughts.
We are getting a lot of questions, which is great, and some good ones.
Is great.
And often the feedback we have here is a bit of either an overflow from the normal pod, or sometimes it's kind of a longer, more detailed question that would takes a bit of time to explore. So the first one today, this is from Laird. Laird has said, guys, regarding Rob MacIntyre's drop, it might be a good rules question for your guy Stu. Rule 13.2 says, you must not improve the area of an intended stance or swing by moving, breaking, or bending anything that is growing. Now, given that his practice swing removed a big chunk of grass and that uncovered the sprinkler head, given this all appeared accidental, it still enabled him to receive the drop. It could be argued the drop should not have been given.
I don't think his practice swing uncovered the sprinkler head, because otherwise he would have a broken wrist right now because he would have hit the sprinkler head. I think when he took the practice swing and stood there, he felt something under his feet.
Yes, that's correct. It wasn't because he could see it. It was because he could feel it when he stood on it. But the wording of that particular rule, not being able to break something close to the ball, taking those practice swings.
I must admit,
how close is close?
Yeah, that's true.
Is my question,
because it did look pretty close, didn't it?
It did look reasonably close. Now, I would, in that situation, I wouldn't be taking a swing like that within 2 club lengths. I reckon 2 club lengths I'm taking a swing if I can find rough like it, just to get a feel for how my club is going to cut through that grass.
Yeah, I'd say a couple of feet for me.
2 feet in rough that long?
2 or 3 feet away from the ball, I think you're not going to have anything to do with where the ball is.
Gee, I'd be
You're still sceptical?
Okay. No. I'd be scared to do it in case it moved my ball.
Yeah, sure.
In a way.
Okay.
I don't think it would be. I don't think having a practice swing within feet of the ball would improve the lie too much.
What about if you were a foot behind it and went sideways, just to clear it out a bit?
That's frowned upon in the game of golf, Nick.
I know.
That's Jumbo Ozaki style swooshing.
No, he would
whooshing.
never be in the rough because the ball would have came out already.
That's true too.
Should we give Stu a quick call?
Yeah, go on, let's call Stu. I also want to ask you about a lost ball that I saw in was it round 1 or was it round 2 with Lowry? Because he wanted the ball to be lost. And it didn't work out that way because he hit a provisional shot, a brilliant shot.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, we're well, Stuart. Hey, we want to go back a couple of weeks to the Scottish Open. Rob MacIntyre took a couple of big swooshes, and we think it was sort of close to where his ball must have been lying. He ended up finding a sprinkler tap with his feet. Question to you, how close are you allowed to have those big swooshes to test the rough when your ball is close?
It can be as close as possible, and I did see that incident you are referring to. The key is he doing things to improve the area of his intended swing? So where he's actually going to strike the ball and where the club's going to go through, is he doing anything to improve that? So if he's just slightly away, even half a step away, which I thought he was, I thought he took a big swing and then he sort of took half a step forward to prepare to make his stroke, and that's when he's realised he was on the sprinkler or something. As long as he's not improving that area, he can be as close as he wants, as long as he doesn't move his ball, and as long as he doesn't clear that grass out, which then improves his next stroke, which of course is that area of intended swing. So that's fine.
Okay, that makes sense.
And what I saw was fine. Yeah.
Stu, that makes sense to everybody here. Is there an etiquette? Because there are strange etiquettes in golf. I was just saying to Nick before we got you on the line that I would be concerned because you can't see the ball and no one can see the ball. I would be concerned, and this is just an etiquette thing, that having those practice swings so close where you can't see the ball, that no one knows whether it moves. And to me, a correct etiquette would be to have those big whooshes in the rough to test how the club is going to go through. I'd be doing that a lot further away. So I know he didn't break a rule.
Yeah. Yep.
Are there any etiquettes like that in professional golf?
No, but I think that's a fair point you make. If you stood away 2 metres and found an area of grass that was identical to where your ball is and you guys know why the player's doing that, right, to test how the club's going to go through the grass. So if you did that 2 metres away, there's zero doubt, zero question on your actions. I think the closer you get, that zero now becomes a 1% doubt, 2, 10, 20% doubt. If you were right next to the ball, well, all of a sudden you got opinion divided and quite a few people are going, geez, it was really close to that ball, wasn't he?
Yeah.
We don't know if it moved or not. So I thought he was I don't think he would have wanted to have been much closer to the ball, but I think he was fine with what I saw. Again, the key is, did he clear out that grass behind the ball to make that next stroke easier and improve that? If he did, he's got a clear breach. And obviously he was very, very fortunate that he then stood on a sprinkler.
And he did absolutely, in my view anyway, he did absolutely nothing wrong and was entitled to exactly what happened.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. I don't think he did anything wrong. As I said, then he stood on the sprinkler. The fact that he didn't know it was there previously because it may have been covered with grass and now he could see it is irrelevant. The fact is it was there. How he found it is really not an issue. And the other key is one thing that a lot of people don't know is you have no entitlement to be able to actually see your ball. So if it's really in that thick grass, you have no entitlement to be able to see your ball before you make the next stroke. So you can't clear out grass just so you can see it before you hit it.
Yep.
If it's covered in grass, bad luck.
I reckon I might have moved grass so I can see my ball in those situations every once in a while.
You got to identify.
And if I may just clarify, you are allowed to move the grass in the attempt to search and identify your ball. That's fine.
Yep.
But once it's found, once it's identified, and you go, Jesus, I really can't see it when I actually take my stance, I wouldn't mind just moving some of that grass out of that way. If that improves where you're about to swing, that's going to be a breach. So you're no entitlement to be able to see your ball.
Yep, it's funny. What you're talking about there, Stu, it's actually made me think of possibly a really stupid question. So when you're taking a practice swing in thick rough next to the ball, and you're basically testing out what the grass is going to do.
Yes.
Why aren't you allowed to do that in a bunker?
That's a really good question. You're right. You aren't allowed.
I mean, it's the same thing. Testing the surface.
Yeah, the principle's the same. I think the only answer I have without knowing the ruling body's intention is the whole idea of a bunker is to challenge you and test your ability to play out of the sand. Yes. And we know that the bunker is one of the most restrictive areas on the course. It's not the most. Penalty area is probably the most restrictive, but bunker's pretty restrictive in what you can do. The general area in the grass, you actually got quite a lot you can do. No, it's very interesting. A very interesting question. I might even ask a few people I know about the history of that and the tradition of that. But you're right, you can test the grass. But I should add, if I may add, and a lot of people wouldn't know this, if your ball's in a bunker and you're thinking, how's my club going to go through? How deep is it, etc., pace of play permitting, you can walk across into another bunker and take practice swings and hit the sand.
Are you joking?
No, I told you, not many people know this. The reason why you're allowed to do that is because your ball is not in that bunker. Your ball's in bunker A, and you walk over to bunker B, take a few practice swings, take out all the sand, and go, okay, probably bunker A is similar to this.
Well, okay.
A lot of people wouldn't know that. Now, the only issue, of course, will be pace of play. If someone goes, hang on, what are you doing over there?
Okay. What happens if you hit the ball into the bunker you've just taken practice swings out of?
Good question.
That's okay.
Really?
Well, yeah, because your ball wasn't in there when you were taking those.
That's right.
Taking those practice swings. Yeah.
These days, in a great big bunker, if the rake was way at the other side because someone had left it in the bunker instead of leaving it out, which all rakes should be left out, that's another story. We'll do the rake bonus podcast at some other stage. But when you walk in, you are allowed to rake up your footmarks until you get to the ball these days, where once upon a time that was frowned upon.
Yeah, that's fine. If you are caring for the course, you can rake the bunker, follow your footsteps and the like, but don't do it in front of your ball on your line of play. So if you got, between your ball and the lip of the bunker is about 4 metres and you're playing a greenside bunker shot, don't be raking up that area where your feet are, right? That's potentially improving your line of play.
Gotcha.
If the ball, goes out on the green, doesn't quite make it, rolls back in, you've fixed all that up. So anything else, around the bunker, massive bunker, by all means, rake it up and even fix any other mistakes that people haven't raked up as well.
Perfect. I love it. I got one more quick question for you. On Friday, Shane Lowry hooked one left, his second shot on the 11th, and then called provisional ball. Hit his provisional on the green. Didn't want to find his first ball, but he had to go and play it, correct? Because someone had found the ball.
Yeah, so we know that you.
Bit of conjecture on that one.
Yeah, so you know you cannot, even though he thought you could, you cannot declare a ball lost. There is nothing you can say to make your ball lost. So when you've got a large group of people around that ball and one of them finds that you now have an obligation to go and identify that ball, you can't go, oh, no, I've declared that lost, that's gone. I want to go and play the provisional. The fact that it was found, he had to go over. The easy way not to make make that provisional your ball in play is don't call it a provisional in the first place, is one way. Or, of course, go and make a stroke at it nearer the hole than where the original ball is estimated to be. But as soon as someone found it, he had to go and identify that ball, must.
What about if you're playing in your local Wednesday Stableford comp and the same thing happens?
Yes.
You don't actually have to go and look for the first one, do you? You won't have a crowd following you, so that ball will be lost.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, so in fact, if I go really technical, if you don't begin a search for that ball, so you just wander right down the fairway and don't even look at it, that 3 minutes technically hasn't started.
Right.
So if you're down on the green with your provisional and you mark it and lift it and everything else, and now 10 minutes has passed since you hit that ball into the rough on the left, imagine someone finding and going, I think I found Nick's ball.
Yeah.
And you go, no, that was 10 minutes ago. And they're going to go, well, you know what? That 3 minutes hasn't even started yet because you didn't start the search.
Does that mean if Shane Lowry just went up and hit his putt before the person said, I think I've got your ball, then the provisional would have been in play?
Correct.
Okay.
Spot on. As soon as you make a stroke at the provisional at a spot nearer the hole than where the original's estimated to be, it becomes a ball in play straight away.
Okay, so he just needs to be a faster runner and he would have been right.
Well,
he should have got up there a lot quicker, yes.
Yeah, he got asked in the press conference, are you a good front runner? He says, well, I'm not a good runner.
Hey, Stu, thanks so much. We really appreciate it. What's the name of your podcast again?
My pleasure, guys, and thank you very much for both of you for being on our podcast, the GolfRules Questions podcast.
It is a cracking listen. If you haven't listened to it, absolutely go and subscribe now and download it. It is a ripper.
I thought Nick's episode was probably the best one. It was really good. It was a very good
I enjoyed
episode.
having both of you on, guys. It was very good of you.
See you, Stu.
Thanks, Stu.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure. Bye-bye.
A couple more bits of feedback we're going to get to, including one from a caller who is a New Zealand caller, Mark.
A New Zealander.
Now, I
wonder if he likes jokes.
After his comment the other day.
I wonder if they heard your appalling joke the other day. We will ask them, and we'll see what they think of you.
I'm sure he'll find it very pleasurable.
Thanks for listening to Talk Birdie to me, and if you're up for it, we'd love you to subscribe, rate and share the podcast wherever you listen. And thanks to our great partners who make the show possible, Ping, they'll help you play your best, Watch My Numbers, the most powerful database golf app in the world, and the Golf Clearance Outlet. They beat everyone's prices. Now, back to Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
So here we are on the 10th tee, Dan. What's next?
Okay, we've got a caller. We're going to phone overseas. We're going to phone New Zealand. Neil Shaw.
Neil Shaw.
Neil Shaw in New Zealand. All right, let me just get this link up. Here we go.
I love New Zealand.
All right, this is Neil's number.
G'day, Nick and Mark.
G'day, Neil. Thanks for giving us some feedback. Why don't you tell our other listeners what's going on?
Where do I start?
Well, where do you live? You're in New Zealand, right, Neil? Is that correct?
Yes, I'm in New Zealand, Hamilton, New Zealand. More golf courses than you can poke a stick at around here.
Whoa, the beautiful Waikato. It's a gorgeous part of the world.
Yeah.
By the way, we should ask Neil if he heard something on the pod earlier this week, Nick.
Yes. My co-host here, Mark Allen, decided to tell one of those jokes, from our friends.
Hey, we're all friends, Aussies and New Zealanders.
Australasians.
That's right.
Did you happen to catch that one, Neil? And if you did, what did you think?
Would this be the joke that had a sheep in it?
Yes, that would be the
Very
one.
pleasurable. Very pleasurable.
Sheep-related joke. I've never heard a sheep-related joke before. But when you mentioned long grass, all I could think was, you guys have been knocking your drives into the long grass, so you probably know better than me.
Sometimes. Now, Neil, what was your question?
Well, first of all, I have a son moving to Geelong, and I just wanted to know whether there were some nice courses around Geelong where he could get started on down there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's two. There's a wonderful club called 13th Beach where the Victorian Open's played every single year. It's 36-hole facility, and basically on the same property, almost you can see it, is a place called Barwon Heads.
Very good course,
and it is a gorgeous place to play golf.
Another place up the road as well, which is good as Kerr Lewis.
Kerr Lewis is a ripper.
Really nice track. So yes, plenty of golf around that area.
Yep.
There's also, by the way, at Kerr Lewis, a very nice French restaurant called Clarabeau.
Ooh.
It is fantastic.
Is that right?
It is indeed. It's
Okay.
beautiful. Wait, so moving from Hamilton to Geelong, is he, Neil?
No, he lives just south of Wollongong, Shell Harbour in Wollongong.
Oh, hello. God's own country.
Okay.
And he's moved in now. Neil, while we've got you, so much talk about Tara Edie and TRI and all the magnificent golf courses in New Zealand. What is the locals' favourite?
Well, I think because I live about 800 metres from Hamilton Golf Club, which is commonly referred to as St Andrews because it's in the St Andrews suburb. Really nice course. And a nice little restaurant too, just quietly.
Yeah, okay.
Very good.
Neil, you had a question about LIV as well.
Yeah, well, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with LIV. I think the guys who sign up for it, fair enough, they're offered the cash, but, you know, if you sign a contract with the devil, you can't expect to sing in the choir, and it just annoys me that they're always on about the points, and I think, well, you know, you knew what you're doing when you signed up, you know, you shouldn't be bitching about this stuff, so, you know, let the guys who are in the PGA Tour, you know, there's got to be some benefits here. Remember, they're going to play an extra day for their tournaments, you know, and get up early and play late like they did for the Open. So, you know, you can't have it both ways.
LIV's not everyone's cup of tea. It is an alternative to what we've seen for years and years and years and years, Neil, but I can't blame them, you know, to take the money.
Yeah.
I can't blame one player for doing it. I'm a little bit like you, though, that, you know, you knew what was going on. I wouldn't be jumping up and down and complaining too much if you don't get a free run into the majors. So I'm a lot with you. Look, I think the balance is about right at the moment, Neil.
Yeah, and I think I agree with what you say there. When they signed up, they knew what they were getting into.
Yeah.
I think Cam Smith came out the other day and said, look, he's a bit disappointed he's not in the Olympics, but at the same time, you knew you weren't going to get world ranking points.
That's right.
Unfortunately, that's just the way of the world. You know, these other players saying, oh, well, we can't get into this, we can't get into that. You took the money for a reason, and fair enough, and until they give the points, well, so be it. So, but I think it's fascinating for the world game at the moment. It's certainly changed everything and how it's worked, and it has helped us down here in Australia with LIV Adelaide.
Hey, Neil, living 800 metres away from St Andrews or Hamilton Golf Club, I imagine you've got a very low handicap because you're there practising all the time.
I'm the worst golfer in the world, but probably like it more than anybody else.
Sounds like you're in the long grass.
Most of the time I am. But something happened that it doesn't happen very often, and I was at Waikari, which is at Tikawhara, and a lovely 18-hole course there. On the 6th hole, 164-metre hole, took out my ping 5-iron and played it to the right-hand side, which was a bit safe, over water. Yes. There's a gully. Yes. And I haven't got great eyesight. I saw it go straight, but then I lost it. And the boys were all watching, and they says, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. It's an hole. Hole in one.
The late entry to the Ping Global results. Yeah. It's fantastic. The Ping 5-iron. Yeah. Good on you.
Beautiful.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Nick and I have had quite a few holes in one between us, but your one is probably better than our 20 because we played that much more golf. So well done to you.
Yeah, congrats, Neil. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Good on you, mate.
Yeah. Thank you, Neil. We always love to hear people from overseas who listen to the pod, and our New Zealand friends are fantastic, even if Mark is ripping the piss with those awful jokes.
It's very pleasurable to hear people from other parts of New Zealand. See you, Neil.
Cheers.
See you. Thank you. Cheers,
he's a good sport. He's a really good sport, Neil. Well, if you want to leave a remark or a question, more bonus pods to come, I am sure. Dan, you go to talkbirdie2me.com.au and push the record button.
You do. Leave a message
exactly
there.
what you do.
Or get in touch on the socials. Send in a message, a bit of feedback, a bit of a question, or just a comment. I think ones like Neil, where he got a hole in one at the age of 68. I mean, incredible. It's just fantastic.
It's a big thrill.
Yeah.
To write down 1 on the scorecard or enter a 1 if you're marking on your phone these days, it is fabulous.
All right, boys. Enjoy the rest of the week.
See you guys.
I can't wait for the feedback next week about the joke, actually. So.
And thanks for listening to Talk Birdie, Timmy. We appreciate you listening and getting involved. And a huge thanks to our fantastic partners. Without them, the show just wouldn't be the same. Watch My Numbers. Download the app and turn your bogeys into birdies by analysing and improving your game like never before. The Golf Clearance Outlet. Awesome prices on great gear. You can see them in Melbourne, Sydney, Brizzy, Perth, and online at golfclearanceoutlet.com.au. And Ping. See your local golf shop or professional to arrange a Ping Club fitting. They'll help you play your best. If Ping's good enough for Nick O'Hearn, well, that says it all. And we'd love you to get involved with the show. You can leave a voicemail with any comments or questions at talkbirdie2me.com.au or send an email or comment on the socials. And if you can share the pod with a friend, well, we'd love that. Talk Birdie to Me's executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media. Sound design, Daryl Misson at loudzebra.com.